Songs and Sit-Downs, featuring Owen Dara. And now, Owen Dara.
Thank you for that great introduction, JJ, with that lovely video and the music composed by our very own JJ Shock. I always enjoy seeing that and enjoy seeing you, even though virtually, possibly. I know you're out there. I hope you're out there. And if you are, wherever you are, good evening and welcome to Songs and Sit Downs. And thank you so much for joining us on this, our 8th edition of the series, would you believe, already. As always, we're very happy to have you here with us, and especially during these crazy times. And yes, crazy times, they certainly are. But still, we can always find something to celebrate, right? Yesterday was Father's Day, so a special shout out to all the fathers out there. We'd like to acknowledge you and all your dedication and your sacrifice. We want to thank you for that, and we hope you got to celebrate your special day. My own father, unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but I know he's looking down on me, and so is my mother looking down on, well, my mother's still alive. It's just what she does. And of course, I can say that because, well, one, my mother knows I'm joking because she's got a great sense of humor. And two, it's 3 o'clock in the morning over there in Ireland. So she's sleeping and so she's not listening. And also, she doesn't have Facebook. So, with all of those things, she's probably not going to hear anything that I say. Although there's something in me that's still kind of scared. Actually, honestly, I think we're all a bit scared. But let me reassure you, ladies and gentlemen, there's really no need to be scared now in these crazy times. I mean, I'm sure everything is going to be absolutely fine now that the 14-year-old TikTok K-pop people are in charge. They're allegedly in control, so we're going to be okay. And by the way, I should say on that topic that we were actually supposed to have a couple of million people tuning in tonight, but the K-poppers, they messed with us too. So we're actually a very, very popular show, and we're actually way more popular than our current number of viewers might be leading you to believe we are. It's really the K-poppers and the TikTokers that are sort of messing with our numbers there. So you take our word for that. And of course, we should be very popular because we have a great team working behind the scenes over there at Divine Rebel Music headquarters, making it all happen every single week. And I think this is probably a good time to check in with them right now and make sure they're there and doing everything they're supposed to be doing. Hello, Dolly. Hello, JJ.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Doing everything we're supposed to be doing.
I always
We're
check
still
because
here.
I always think like you might play the intro and then you head off to Vegas or something, and
No,
just
no, no,
let
not
Owen
right now.
handle the show. Yeah.
No, we're here. We're here, and we're excited for a great show.
Well, good to see you. And speaking of Father's Day, happy Father's Day, JJ.
Thank you so much, Owen.
He looked
Yes,
at me
and
like I was the father.
yeah, you looked confused there for a second, Dolly. But you guys celebrated together yesterday, right? You
We
celebrated
Yeah,
did.
together with your
yeah.
kids.
Yeah, my wonderful kids, and they gave me a nice photograph of them.
Wow. Oh, that's wonderful. Wow. What great kids. And
Yeah.
I know I've met both of them somewhat virtually. And at one of the Cool House concerts, I met Nicholas first, and we've talked a little online. And great kids. And I want to thank your kids too, also for affording me a wonderful day yesterday. I have no kids, but it really was a wonderful day because they kept you guys so busy that you had no chance to call me to talk about the show or to check if I was working, check if I was doing all the preparation. So it was a nice, relaxing Sunday. So I'd like to thank Alexander and Nicholas for that very much.
It's
You're
probably the
welcome.
least you heard from me, huh?
Yeah. I was like, what's going on? Oh, it's Father's Day. Awesome. So I'm putting in my calendar next year for there'll be no phone calls hassling me about the show today.
Oh, and that makes me happy because that means that you trust we're still going to be on air.
Yes. Well, we
I hope
make
so
up for it
too.
on we make up for it. We make up for it on other days. And so do we
Yes.
have any announcements?
Well, just the usual that people, we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
so that we can monetize off this show that we work, we work our butts off. It's definitely our passion project.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll post links in the comments if you could kindly subscribe if you have not already.
Hmm.
And if you have, maybe get your kids to subscribe. Get the whole family in on it, okay?
Yeah,
Let's
tell them
get
get
to
off the
1,000
TikTok
subscribers.
K-pop, get on the Facebook and the YouTube,
We need those
and help us
kids.
out. Yeah, we do. Wow, I should have listened to more K-pop.
So yeah, I think that's all we have, but I'll put those links in the comments. And again, just thank you for tuning in. And uh there's so many virtual shows right now, and you've chosen to hang out with us, so thank you for that.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you. And we should mention also we have a tip jar,
Yes, we
and
do.
this is something that we put up each week. And if you feel like donating something, that would be fantastic.
Yes.
And do we have a visual for that, Dolly, or we'll just move
Well,
on?
we actually have, we have this.
Oh, that looks
Look,
cool.
it took JJ's place.
I like
Hopefully
it.
he
I
can
like
man the
it.
computer too.
I like it. Okay, so
So
as
put
we
those
said, we're
early.
very happy to have you guys with us.
Yep.
If you do feel like throwing something in the tip jar, we do share it with the musical artists just to keep them going as well. And we really appreciate your being with us. And thank you, Dolly and JJ. We'll talk to you again
Thank you.
soon.
All right, let me get that off screen. Okay, bye guys.
Great. Thank you, guys. And also, we should look at the gig guide as we always do. You know, this is our 8th show, and so for 8 weeks now, this is our 8th week. We've actually been looking at the gig guide and talking about all the shows that have been going on around town, around Los Angeles and beyond. And let me just check right there with this. And the latest, there are, yeah, there are no shows, ladies and gentlemen, no shows happening in LA right now. And we will keep doing that joke. It was kind of funny than the first time, but we will keep doing that until such time as we have gigs to promote. But do tune in to the Facebook Live shows that are happening. We're going to be talking about those a little bit later on. And tonight we have a great show for you. In just a little while, we're going to be meeting Michael Shipley, who's originally from Santa Cruz, and he's been very busy in Los Angeles over the last couple of decades, working on some major network TV comedy shows as a writer, an executive producer, and a consulting producer. He's also a photographer and a musician, and he's basically just an all-round good guy to catch up with for a chat. So we look forward to meeting him in just a little while. And a bit later in the show after that, we're going to be joined by Ted Russell Kamp. He's a prolific singer-songwriter. He's just released, are you ready for this? His 11th studio album. Yeah, 11th. Not only that, he's also a Grammy-winning bass player, as well as one of the most sought-after producers and session players in the business. If you tuned into last month's edition of Divine Rebel Music's show, Sweet Sounds Around Town, you will have heard Ted play a set of his original songs. And that was such a great success, and we enjoyed it so much, we just had to convince him to come back and join us here on Songs and Sit Downs. And thankfully he did, and you're going to be grateful he did too, because he's gonna play some songs for us. We're gonna chat, and it's really going to be fantastic. Both Michael and Ted, wonderful guests, so we look forward to talking to them later in the show. But before we talk to our special guests, we have a segment that we all look forward to every single week because it highlights some of the good and positive aspects of human nature, and we need that now more than ever. It always includes at least one fluffy animal, which is a bonus, and of course it does, because it's created and presented by one of the most positive people that I know, at least. This is On the Upside with Jessica Lancaster.
Hey guys, happy Monday. Hope you're having a fabulous night. Let's start off with a Spanish opera hall called Gran Teatro de l'Essayou, and they're going to conduct a performance of Puccini's Flowery Concerto, Chrysanthemi. I know I probably said that wrong, or Chrysanthemums in English. They're doing this to a packed house of 2,292 potted plants. Yep. Obviously, you can't do a performance to a packed house of human beings because of social distancing, but the show must go on. So why not perform to potted plants? They're great audience members. There's no coughing, cell phones, going to the bathroom in the middle of the show. The concert's designed as a reflection on the strangeness of the human current condition. And if you're not a plant, and you still want to enjoy this, no problem. They're going to stream it for free on their website. And speaking of live shows, who else is bummed that they can't go to their summer concerts? I know I am. Well, we can't go to concerts right now, obviously, because of social distancing, but the UK has an awesome alternative: drive-in concerts. It's a series of drive-in concerts will take place across the UK this summer. The promoters Live Nation, they've announced that Birmingham, Edinburgh, and London are among the cities that will host these amazing outdoor gigs. Basically, you drive to a designated spot, you bring your own food and drink, you tune into the radio station that's designated, and you listen to your live concert and enjoy. I mean, what a great way to keep musicians playing and audiences happy. I would love to go to one of these, by the way. In honor of Father's Day yesterday, I want you to meet Narnia. He is a gorgeous, blue-eyed, two-toned cat, and he has fathered a pair of kittens, each in his distinctive colors. He's fathered a little gray kitten named Phoenix and a little black kitten named Prada. I think he could probably skip the paternity test on this one. Way to go, Narnia. Congratulations. And also in the dads are the best spirit, here's a little music that I found sung by a father and a son. Douglas and Braden Morgan. Enjoy.
Tonight I'm gonna have myself a real good time. I feel alive.
And the world, you'll turn it inside out, yeah. I'm floating around in ecstasy, so
Don't stop me now.
don't stop because
I'm having a good time, having a good time.
I'm having a good time. Don't stop me now, except you have to stop me now because it's time for me to stop. And that is it. If you have some good news you want to share, please pass it on to us so we can spread the love. Thanks so much and have a great rest of your week. Bye.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you so much. I get an error message saying your mic is muted, so I just stand there looking kind of stupid for a moment. But that was fantastic. Jessica Lancaster, what a positive person, and just bringing us joy every week with her great stories and drive-in concerts. Maybe we should try that here. Wouldn't that be fun? So, thank you again, Jessica, with the On the Upside. We look forward to seeing you again next week with more great positive news stories. Our next guest, first featured guest of the night, Michael Shipley. He's not only a musician and a photographer, but he's also been a writer and executive producer on so many comedy TV shows, including Last Man Standing, My Name is Earl, Mom, and Family Guy. As a musician, he's recorded both an album and an EP of his original songs. He's taken some very impressive photographs over the years. If you check out his Instagram, you'll see many of those. And he's also the executive producer of multiple award-winning feature films. He's been nominated for both a Primetime Emmy and an NAACP award. And on top of all that, he's the loving father of 2 young children. As I said before, he's a great guy to catch up with for a chat, and we're about to experience that firsthand. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michael Shipley.
Hello!
Hi, Michael. How are you?
I'm great, Owen. Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Now, happy Father's Day, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Did you have a good day yesterday?
Yes, it was weird but terrific.
Right. Well, I understand your kids now, they're both 3 years of age. So did they get the concept of Father's Day?
Very roughly. They know there are special days because they're obsessed with birthdays. And so my wife had trained them when I walked downstairs to say, Happy Father's Day. But they were watching a cartoon, so it didn't happen, and she had to go prompt them. One of them said it.
It can only get better as the years go on, right?
That's right. Yes.
Wow.
But it was great. But here, look what they did. My wife made me. I'm a big Thor fan.
Oh wow.
And she made me this Thor shirt.
Oh, that is fantastic.
With the kids' handprints on the back.
Oh wow.
you know,
It melt your heart, melt your
it
heart.
was delightful. Yes.
Now, Michael, as I said in my intro, you have covered so much ground in your years in Hollywood. I mean, I guess, have you been down this part of the world? Is it almost 3 decades at this point?
Good heavens. Yeah, it's 20. Yeah, it must be. It's somewhere between 25 and 30 years now. Yeah.
Right, yeah, and anything after like 23, you lose count. It's kind of all the same. And then you
It's
start
mentally
denying
healthy
it.
to, yeah, it's mentally healthy to stop counting at a certain
Yes.
point. I had a
Yeah.
friend who, whenever a span of time passed 5 years, she would just say 5 years. So she
Ah.
never had to say a number. It was like, when were you a kid? Oh, it was like 5 years ago.
Oh, that's good. I think we might take that on. That's actually very good
Yeah.
advice. Now, the shows that I mentioned that you worked on, we'll talk a little bit about those. I mean, there was Last Man Standing, and of course, Family Guy. And I know this, that there is a legendary bit in Family Guy with a chicken, where I think is it Peter, and he beats up a chicken. Now, I've seen
Yes.
that, and I think it appeared, I don't know how many years ago, but it's sort of become this running gag. Now, you're credited with actually coming up with that.
Yes, what happened was that was originally the first Peter versus the chicken fight was in the Y2K episode that we were doing in the first season of Family Guy. Everybody thought the world was going to end when the clocks turned over to 2000. And I was in a joke room, that is a room off to the side where we were just trying to come up with jokes with Garrett Donovan, and I think it was Greg Garcia. And we were pitching a lot of jokes for what this chicken could, how the chicken and Peter could interact. And we'd already hit on the idea in Family Guy that it was funny sometimes to take a concept and just stretch it out way past what seemed normal. And eventually it gets funny. And I said, why don't we have them fight, but do it as a TOSAT, which is what we called that. Just have it go on and on and on. So we wrote the bit together, the three of us, and then went and pitched it in the room after I pitched that. Yeah.
And then it just kept coming back. It was supposed to be one TOSAT, but then it was just a series of TOSAT. And even after you left the show, it kept appearing, right?
Yeah, I was only on the show the first 3 seasons.
Oh, that's
and,
hilarious.
Yeah, and they've done, it's gone and gone and gone. Yeah. It's terrific.
It's one of those classic bits, you know, that you wonder what kind of mind comes up with that, and now we know. and so now, of course, you've worked a lot on network TV. I mean, that's been your bread and butter, and you've had such great success in that. But you've also been developing projects with movie stars and beyond. I mean, didn't you work with Keanu Reeves, or you guys were developing a project together?
Yes, that was a pilot idea that somebody who was running his production company had, and they were looking for writers, and they really liked my take on it. So the fellow from the production company and I developed the idea, and then eventually we started pitching it to Keanu, and then we took it out to the networks and pitched it. And sadly, it didn't sell. They all wanted Keanu to be in it instead of just produce it.
Oh, he didn't want to do it?
Yeah, it was not. He was trying to build up his production resume at that point. And so he had other things on his acting agenda, and it was too bad. But it was a really interesting idea, and it was fun to get to hang out and work with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, and there was an incident. Well, I don't know if it's an incident, but this is a story that I heard. Now, when you knocked on his door one time at his house,
oh yes,
went over to his
yes,
house. This is a great Hollywood moment. Can you share this with us?
This amused me enormously, and I was going over to Keanu Reeves' house, and his house is up in the Hollywood Hills, and understandably, it's just a featureless, smooth wall out front, and so you have to ring a bell, and I hear Keanu say, "Oh, okay, I'll be out and let you in just a minute." So I'm standing in front of his house for a beat right after we finished that conversation, and a tour bus pulls up in the street, and I hear this weary, exhausted tour guide say, "And there's Keanu Reeves' house." And then he points at me and says, "And there's Keanu Reeves standing there." And I turn around and wave at the bus, and you could see these bewildered tourists from around the world sort of starting to raise their camera. And he said, "Yeah, looks pretty different in the movies, doesn't it?"
Oh, that is
And they just drove off. And then, like, as soon as they were gone, Keanu Reeves opened the door and was standing there.
Oh my God!
So
they missed him by that much. Oh, isn't that hilarious? And so there are probably people in other countries now when they're pulling out their photo albums and this is Keanu Reeves. He looks different as he does in
This
the
is what he
movies.
looks like. Yeah, he's blonde and Scandinavian.
That's a great Hollywood. And of course, speaking of Family Guy, then you started off in the early days then with Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
What was it like working with him?
It was amazing. I mean, it was amazing in so many ways. He was, I think he was 26 when he sold Family Guy.
Wow.
He had been working as an animator for Hanna-Barbera. So by the time I met him, I think he was 27. And he was, of course, essentially the same person, just as talented, but a little more shy, a little more uncertain of his abilities.
Wow.
But he is one of the very few, people are always calling each other geniuses in this town. And he really actually is a genius. I mean, he's incredible. He's intellectually brilliant. He's massively musically talented.
Yes.
He has a tremendous gift for directing and how to set up jokes. He's a very funny writer. And of course, he's won Emmys for his voice work.
Yeah.
He's extraordinary.
It's hard to imagine that he was ever a shy guy when you see everything that he does now. And I mean, even his singing, as you say, he's musically talented. And, he tours, and I think, is it Sinatra he covers, and he does just so funny and so, but
all kinds of great big band. Here, I've got a great music story about his, because I worked on Family Guy. And then a few years went by, and then I ended up working on American Dad for a couple of years too. When I was working on American Dad, Seth was not super involved in the writing process. And so he often would not have read the script when we sat down to do a table read, which is the first time the script gets read out loud by the actors and the studio and network executives, and usually all the animators and everybody are sitting around, and you get to hear it out loud. And one of the challenges with Seth was he really wasn't familiar with non-big band American music. So his knowledge of even extremely popular songs stopped at about 1968. And even before that, it was just big band.
Yeah.
So we had put a very recognizable song in one of these scripts, and it was a character that he was voicing, and he had to sing these lines that we had written to the tune of this very recognizable song. And right before I'm standing with the executive, with the showrunner, and he says to Seth right beforehand, "Seth, do you know this song?" And it's like everybody knew this song, and Seth was like, "No, I never heard that." But then Seth says, "Sing it to me." And so the executive producer sings it. Seth writes a musical staff, writes the melody.
Wow.
On the musical staff in the margin of the script. And when he got to that moment in the script, he looks over, sight reads the melody, and does the voice and sings it in character.
Wow.
Cool.
It just makes you hate him like even more,
Oh,
right?
it's ridiculous. Yeah, he's preposterous. There's a reason that he has been so successful.
Yeah, and then of course you moved on. I think you did American Dad, and then you did My Name Is Earl, and you moved on to one of the shows you moved on to was Last Man Standing.
Yes.
And I know Tim Allen. He's such a character. I mean, he's had enormous success. I think at one point, wasn't he like the best-selling author? He had the #1 TV show and he had the #1 movie all at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extraordinary. But I believe he's somewhat of a fan of you. Of course, he's a fan of your writing because you worked with him for so long. But here's something, and I think maybe you know what's coming because we did warn you. We did dig something up from the internet, and there's no hiding anymore. But let's just play this, and we can only talk about it after it's seen. This is Tim Allen talking about our good friend Michael Shipley.
Our 100th show was 2 weeks ago. Very exciting news for this business. You people like, okay. But for us, it's a very big deal. But Michael Shipley, without a lot of alcohol, apparently, because he got 0 alcohol, he was dancing. Those for $20? Oh. Well, for $20, I might take it. He was dancing up on really a kind of a stripper walk. There's some club in Hollywood, and he really gave it a lot. So uncomfortable that men were going, God, that is so not bad. That's the most uncomfortable 4 men in a row going, God damn, I couldn't do that. That's good. And you realize another guy's getting to the game.
That's hilarious. Now, I know the sound, at least on my end, was a little low there, so we might have had a little bit of a technical challenge. But basically, what he was saying there, if I can sum up, he was
Yeah.
talking about, were you guys at a party or something? Was it like a wrap
We had a
party?
100th episode party. The show went to 100 episodes, which is a huge deal in TV
Huge.
because you go into syndication. It
Oh, wow.
changes the financial setup for everybody who's created the show or if you star in the show.
Yeah.
And at that it was at this big fancy place in Hollywood. And Molly Ephraim, who played one of his daughters on the show, offered me 20. I was always dancing like a maniac. Just that's how I dance. And she said, I'll give you $20 if you get up on the stripper walk and dance over the bar. And I was like, oh, sure. So I got up and danced up there, and then she gave me $20. And then it was only the next week or a couple weeks later at a taping for an episode I'd written that, Tim tells this story. And I realized he'd been watching and laughing about the whole thing.
And you had no idea, which leads me to a question that I have to ask for our viewers, saying, Michael, have you no shame?
Mm-mm. Not about stuff like that.
I love it.
It's one of the wonderful things about working in a writer's room all those years is you get very practiced at entering a different mind space along with a physical space. You step through that doorway and your brain gets trained to say, okay, I can drop my inhibitions now. And we all help each other with that by spending the first 15 minutes of the day or so behaving enormously inappropriately, in ways that would get you fired instantly off any other show, any other job with massive lawsuits. But when you're in a writer's room, you need to get to that place with your brain. And so, even at a party for a show, I think inhibitions are naturally low for the writers because your brain has been trained.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of fun. Now, speaking of Last Man Standing, you wrote, that was one of the episodes that you wrote that Tim was talking about your dancing, but there was also another episode you wrote for which you were nominated for an NAACP award.
Yeah, that was a huge honor, yeah.
Yeah, what a huge honor. And might I say, particularly impressive considering your skin tone, and your background.
Enormous lack of melanin, yes.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, I have seen that episode. I know the Larrabees are featured in it. Is it called the Larrabees?
I can't remember I think it's called Meet the Larrabees.
Meet the Larrabees. Well, I have to say you handled it very artfully. So I know it's about the inherent racism, I guess, that exists in the suburbs and beyond. And you gave Tim Allen some certain words, and you gave the Larrabees, who are people of color, certain words, and it was just very artfully done. And I guess that's why they were honoring you with a nomination, because were there any risk? Did you feel any risk in doing that?
Oh, absolutely. It's a tremendous tightrope walk, but you have to take those kind of risks to make television worthwhile, to give it some kind of substance. And people often mistakenly, and I think this is often based on terrible sitcoms from the past, feel like comedy has to be vacuous. And as soon as there's any content, then they say, well, that's not comedy, or you can't make it funny. But all you have to do is think back to the great sitcoms of the 70s to see that that isn't true.
Yes.
And that episode, I mean, writing for TV really it's a group process. And even though my name ended up on that script, I wrote the draft. The whole team worked on it. And a lot of credit goes to our showrunner at that point, was the brilliant Tim Doyle. And he was fearless about taking on issues and finding ways to take on those issues. And we would never have gotten to that amazing script if he hadn't been leading us.
It's a credit to you, and more relevant than ever in these times, of course. And speaking of showrunners, I cannot let you go without talking about Chuck Lorre, because he is just ubiquitous in his shows, of course, 2.5 Men and Mom. Mom was actually the series you worked on with Chuck.
Yes.
And what was that like? Because I believe there's a difference in Chuck Lorre's show in that everything that's written happens in the room. Is that correct?
Yes, there are a lot of different ways to write scripts, but usually once you've figured out the story and you've written an outline, one writer goes home, or if it's a team, a pair of writers goes home and writes a draft and then brings it in. You all rewrite it together. in Chuck's world, he prefers to have everybody, a group of writers in the room, and the computers are on, and you write the whole script as a group, line by line. I mean,
Wow.
it's after you figured out the story and you've got it up on a wipe-off board. But yeah, you write as a group. It's much faster
Is it
because, of
really?
course, you've got
Mhm.
8 brains or however many people you've got in your
Right.
group
Do you
all
prefer
working
that
together on
process?
something.
Do you prefer doing it that way?
There's upsides and downsides to everything.
Mhm.
It's delightful because in a way you're doing the rewrite and the first draft at the same time, because there's so many ideas coming from so many people. You
Mhm.
kind of skip over a lot of problems that you
Ah,
might encounter if you were just writing it by yourself.
interesting.
On the other hand, I think sometimes you can lose a certain kind of nuance.
Mhm.
There's a discovery process when you write a script in bleak, horrifying solitude
Mhm.
that
I love
allows
that
you to
description.
find little connections and that sometimes in the hurly-burly whirl of a bunch of people pitching and a bunch of people going, I got a better joke, I'm going to do this, which is extremely fertile and energetic. But
Mhm.
sometimes I think those kinds of subtleties can get lost, or they never have a chance to be found and blossom. So
Right.
it's a trade-off. That was an incredible staff on that show. I loved those writers, both
Great.
professionally and personally.
Well, what an experience to be in such great company. And
Oh,
you mentioned the great sitcoms of the 70s, and of course, there has just been some classic sitcoms from that era, and we have some great sitcoms now. We have some great comedies, but we also
yes.
have some not so great comedies. Would you like to would you be upset if I threw the question at you? Why is so much TV comedy bad?
It's a very legitimate question. Yes, I
Okay,
love it when people have the nerve to actually ask me that, because
good.
often there's a feeling like I'm going to assume responsibility for everything that's on the air, good or bad.
Mhm.
Uh, there are a lot of reasons that go into why TV is so bad. Most people just think, oh, those writers must be terrible. God, I could do a better job than that. And one thing is, even writing a bad show is surprisingly hard. Just
Mhm.
getting that structure and the shape and having it be coherent at all. But there's so many forces at work. One person simply said years ago, famously, we don't mean to make bad TV, we just run out of time.
Oh, because there's a deadline and you just got to put something up.
You got to, especially if you're making 22 episodes in a
Yes.
year,
Mm-hmm.
even though you spend most of the year doing that,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of TV to create. And
It's
if
a
there
lot.
is a story problem that is only really apparent once the show is up on its feet and you're running through it on a set,
Yeah.
you might just not quite have time to fix
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
There also there are studio and network executives, many of whom are wonderful, smart, and helpful,
Mm-hmm.
but there are some who need to put their fingerprints on things.
Yeah.
And you'll have a story that is absolutely working, and then some executive who needs to justify their existence can
Yeah.
come along and insist that you do X, Y, or Z. Now, even that sometimes isn't their fault, because they often are given marching orders by the people above them, who
I
are not
see.
even there to respond to the specifics of the situation. They're just
Interesting.
saying, shows have to be about families now. All the
Mm-hmm.
stories have to connect to family somehow, or
Wow.
whatever, they got yelled at about. So
Yeah.
there's this crazy kind of game of telephone that happens in the
Mm-hmm.
executive structure. And then the poor people who have to actually come to the show and give that note might be very aware that it doesn't make any sense anymore, but their
Right.
boss told them to do it because their boss told them to do it.
Do you find less restriction on Netflix for that kind of thing rather than network?
It's hard to, in certain ways, yes. It's hard to make a generalization from me because I've only done one season of Mr. Iglesias, which is the first
Mm-hmm.
Netflix show I've been on.
Right.
And
That's
we've had pretty great executives on it who are
good.
smart, and we can talk to them. And I hope that is true across the board.
Yeah.
It's hard to know.
Good. Well, this is great chatting to you. You know, we've run out of time, but we're going to keep going. You know, to hell with the executives, right?
Ah, this is
You got
not
the
good.
executives out there saying, will they wrap up? Well, they're actually not asking us to wrap up, so this is a good thing. The suits are on our side today,
Woohoo!
Michael. Poor Ted Russell Campus. Hopefully he's enjoying this backstage as
Oh,
he's tuning his instruments.
well,
Uh,
and then I have to then I'm going to say one other thing that
mhm.
is interferes with TV, which is because the executives I know whom I love would be mad at me if I didn't mention the fact that also you get actors who sometimes during the week of production have enough power to say something crazy or do something crazy and say, I don't want to do this story, and that and suddenly you're left halfway between the story you wanted to do and the story that they want to do, and it just turns into
And so
a
it
night.
depends on the power and if they think they're a better writer than you or they want to get their views across. And Michael, this is such a great insight, but I've got to move on to another point that I am so curious about.
All
Now,
right.
I read somewhere that now you're a Trekkie, right? You're a Star Trek fan?
Oh, I'm a huge Trekkie of
Well,
the original show primarily. I like the
yes,
other ones, but yes.
from the 70s. I love that show too. I grew up watching it. But this is something that I've just learned. There is a character in Star Trek, and I hope I'm right about this, that's
Yes.
named after you.
Yes, weirdly enough.
How did this happen?
It was a fantastic claim to fame. It was on Star Trek The Next Generation. It was a character, you can look it up. It's in the Star Trek Wikipedia encyclopedia online.
Yeah.
There's a character who started off as Ensign Shipley, and I think was in a couple of episodes, and then showed up as Lieutenant Shipley for an episode.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a wonderful way to be immortalized, and it was it was the writer Brannon Braga who used my name, and we at that point, although we went to the same university, we had never met, but we had a friend in common, and he just grabbed the name and used it.
Oh, it's a great name, you know, for a commander or a villain, anyone. Shipley is a great name. And, you know, we do have to wrap up, unfortunately, but we want to talk a little bit about your album because you're also a musician and you made this great album called Blood and Vanity.
Yes. Thank you.
And what an extraordinary album cover. Now, I believe that the people in that photograph are from your life. They're the people you wrote the songs about. So you're very inspired by your past?
Yes, they're either people I directly wrote the songs about or just people who were important and influential in my life in some way during that era.
Yeah, well, it's a very, very cool album and a very, very cool cover, I should say. Now, and there it is again, Michael Shipley, Blood and Vanity. Can we hear this on your website, or how can we hear this?
Yes, if you go to michaelshipley.org, you can listen to this. You can buy this. My EP is Voices in the Dark is also up there. Come check it out. Yeah, I'd love for people to hear more of it.
And Michael, I wish we had more time to chat. You know, hopefully we'll get an opportunity to do it again. We're going to let you go, but we're actually going to feature one of your music videos. We won't play the whole video, but I have seen the whole video and it is fantastic. You are a man who does not take himself too seriously, and I think that's what we need in art.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell us just a little bit about this video before we play it?
Absolutely. I'll just set it up. It's for a song from Blood and Vanity. It's called Unpredictable Girl. And the premise of the video is essentially I'm walking down the street trying to be a cool music video star. And I walk past a hair salon, and one of the women who's cutting hair in the salon sees my long hair, gets annoyed, and comes out and tries to start cutting it while I'm singing. And the rest of the video is essentially her chasing me through different scenes while I keep trying to sing to the camera, but she's just trying to catch up with me and cut my hair.
You know, there are so many musicians, including me, that are out there watching now going, I wish I had thought of that.
Well, and I let my hair grow for months before this video.
Oh,
You'll see it's much longer than it is now.
And then it was just like a one-shot thing right at the end. So, Michael, it's so great having you on the show. And thank you so much for spending this time with us. I know you're busy with your kids and you're working on a new pilot and so many things. So thank you for spending this time with us. It's just absolute pleasure talking to you. And we hope that we will see you again soon.
Thank you so much, Owen. It's been a huge pleasure. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody.
And this is Unpredictable Girl by Michael Shipley.
A friend is all you need inside of me. breath, but nothing seemed to be hurt. She plays the same game. Push me away, then stand screaming my name. I said, you're...
Oh my God, I tell you, it brings a smile to my face. Great comedy writer, musician who does not take himself too seriously. Great ideas for music videos, and check those out online. Thank you so much, Michael Shipley, for sharing all that insight with us and your music and your stories and so much more to talk about. So hopefully we'll get a chance to chat again soon. Really appreciate that. And I'm sure you enjoyed our first guest, as you will our next guest, Ted Russell KAMP, who is a singer-songwriter, a producer, and a Grammy Award-winning bass player. When he's not writing or recording or traveling the world performing his own country/roots/Americana music, he's busy producing albums for himself. As I said, he has 11 studio albums, as well as for other artists. His albums are critically acclaimed, and he's also been successfully touring with Shooter Jennings. Actually, for the last 15 years, they've worked together. And Ted's own albums, should I say, he has 11 albums. Many of Ted's albums are everywhere, and in fact, they've ranked very well on Americana radio chart, and he's even scored a #1 spot on the Euro Americana chart with his album Get Back to the Land. His latest album is called Down in the Den, and it's going to be from Down in the Den, the actual den where he recorded the album, that he'll be joining us in just a minute. But first, here's a little clip from one of his many excellent music videos. This is Home Away from Home.
Well, I can't catch a plane, not a rented car. But when I hit the highway, I know it won't be far. That I see feel your faces somewhere along that road. Every place I go, it's a home away from home. It might be one more time, one more time, one more year till I come back around. It don't matter just what day it is when it feels as good to roll home. Every place I go is a home away from home. Yeah, well, I could have played it safe, well, I could have stayed in bed, but I won't stop and stay.
And please welcome our special musical guest, Ted Russell KAMP.
Hello there.
Hey Ted, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very
good.
Thanks
Good
for
to
having
see
me
you.
on.
So that song, Home Away from Home, is from your, would it be your 10th album?
No, that was actually my 11th.
That was your 11th.
My 11th one was last year, and it was called Walking Shoes.
Okay.
And this is number 12 coming out
so
soon.
This one is 12. So like you sideswiped us with another album since last we looked. So
that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
I said 11 studio album, but in fact you have 12. So we feel even worse. Wow, fantastic.
Don't feel bad.
So
don't feel
a great album, Walking Shoes, which did very well. And you know, today's a special day because today you actually got to premiere one of your music videos. Is that right?
That's right. We're looking at the album cover now, Down in the Den.
Uh-huh.
And the second song on a record called Have Some Faith. Also Have Some Faith in Me is the full title. It's debuting this week on a cool, it's almost like the MTV of roots music and Americana. If you don't know what it is, it's Diddy TV. It's a really wonderful group of folks, and it's a really great, respected team to have accept me and my music, and so I'm really excited about it. But it's kind of, you can look it up on their website now, and then they have a big show called The Curve, which is on this coming Wednesday night, where it's going to officially debut.
Oh, wow, that's great. And, you know, we might even try to get a sneak peek of it ourselves later on without telling anyone.
We could.
we might.
I
just...
know the guy in the video, so I could put in a good word.
Well, good. Yeah, please. Please, if Ted's in the building, put in a word for us. And also, you just received some new merchandise, too, to go with the album.
Yes, I did.
Do you have any of it that you could that you could debut on this show? Because I know it hasn't got out there yet.
Oh my God, are you ready? I
I am.
literally
I'm
picked it up
excited.
today. I made hats for the first time. I got new T-shirts.
Uh-huh.
Need posters, tour posters. Check this one out. We have a Ted Russell Camp
Oh, I see it right there. Look at that.
hat. Check
Awesome.
this out. You might also like this.
Oh,
I
very
made-
cool.
The wing. I was a big fan of REO Speedwagon as a kid,
Yeah, so you got the
and
wings
I always
there.
wanted one day when I grow up, I'm gonna have a TRK wing logo hat.
Oh man.
It's not coming through very clearly with the computer camera and all that,
But I can see that the wings, and you've got TRK there in the middle.
but I got the wings. I
But,
got the
you
wing
know-
logo hat now.
If we want to see it clearer, the best thing to do is go on your website and just order some of those.
Yes, you could go to tedrussellcamp.com and it's all right there.
Wow, fantastic. And we can also check you out at facebook.com/Ted Russell Camp Band. You're doing a number of live stream shows, right?
Totally. I'm doing one. Usually they're every Sunday and every Wednesday. But
Okay,
I canceled
great.
yesterday so that I could make a tonight a more special occasion.
Well, we do appreciate that very much. And we appreciate you coming back. As I said, when we had you in Sweet Sounds Around Town, I think you were actually on the first one that we had, and we were just like, we got to get him back. We got to get
That
him
was
back.
really fun. That was
Well-
great. That was a great evening. So thank you for having me back.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Now, we can actually also do some pre-sales of your album, right? Of your upcoming album down in
Yes,
the
you
den?
can. It starts because the video's coming out now and the album comes out in late July.
Mm-hmm.
You can do pre-sales now, so that's on my website, and there might be a link that
Yeah,
you'll
I
have
think
to-
there it is, tedrussellcamp.com, and we may even have a photo of the album. Let's see if that could be cool. Well, you know, we'll just keep talking, and maybe it'll come up at some point.
Okay, that's all good.
Now, as I said in my intro, you work with a lot of other artists too. You work with independent artists, but you were also working on a recent project with Tanya Tucker.
That's right.
Was it her album While I'm Living? Do you want to
Yes,
tell us
I
a little
played
bit about
bass on
that?
her new record.
And that actually won, it's coming up right now, the 2020 Grammy winning country album of the year, Tanya Tucker's While I'm Living. And you had the honor and the absolute honor of working on that with, of course, Shooter Jennings, who's a guy you've worked with for 15 years and I believe is a friend of yours at this point, but also Brandy
Yeah.
Carlisle.
That's right.
That must have been amazing.
Yeah, it was great. It was
And-
great. I'm very proud of the fact that I've worked very hard to try to make great music as much as I could for my whole life, you know. And so now when I get to play, it's most often with very talented people who are experienced and soulful. But that record with Brandy and Shooter at the helm, and of course Tanya singing, it was an incredible team. Every single person on it was unbelievable. Brandy has two brothers, Tim and Phil Hanseroth, who are twins, who have been in her band and also co-writers. They write a lot of the songs that they do. They write them together, and each of the three will write songs. So they were incredible to work with. Chris Powell was the drummer, and then Chris and Eleanor Masterson were all involved with the record too. So the band. Oh, and also I want to say Mark Rains, who's a good friend of mine, was the engineer on the album.
Wow.
And everyone just rose to the occasion. It was a fabulous experience.
Great. And for Tanya, too, you were helping guide her with her personal stories. You guys were all working and just trying to make the album personal for her, right?
Yeah. Tim, Phil, and Brandy wrote a lot of the songs, and literally we'd be in the studio, and Tanya would be telling stories about how she grew up and when she first moved to Nashville and this and that and things about her life and her philosophy, and they would literally be changing the songs and rewriting them to fit the stories she was telling.
Wow.
So they would be even more personal and more real.
Well, it just shows, you know, the more personal, the more universal. And then, of course, you guys get honored with a Grammy for your work. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
And you're also, I know that Shooter Jennings, he's recorded a number of your songs. I think, was his first album O? Was that the beginning?
The first album was Put the O Back in Country.
Put the O Back in
It came out in
Country.
2005.
Wow, I love
And,
it.
So yeah, we recorded that one together at Hollywood Sound.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood, kind of Selma and Cahuenga,
Mm-hmm.
for the LA people out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a great experience. And so yeah, Shooter had a few songs that kind of needed help. He needed help finishing. So I co-wrote a little, and then I wrote this one particular song, Steady at the Wheel, which was on that record.
Yeah, and we can hear that online, Steady at the Wheel. It's a great track.
Thank you very much.
So it must have been fantastic for your first working year with him, and then you have, obviously he recognized your songwriting talents pretty early on, and you guys have continued working together all this time. But you have co-writes with some other greats. The last time we spoke, you mentioned Ed Tree. I think you wrote, was it This Old Guitar you wrote with
This
Ed
Old
Tree?
Guitar was on Walking Shoes, and I wrote that with Ed. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But
well,
I've been writing. I've been co-writing more and more over the years. I really love it, and I love kind of meeting another person, kind of 50-50 right in the middle, and then we just tell stories and talk about life. And sometimes it's my idea, sometimes it's there. But actually, like you were talking with Michael about the collaborative process of writing scripts, and definitely sometimes the idea or the beauty of the song gets kind of lost in between the two people, and so it's just simply not as good. Which he was saying that happens with scripts sometimes. It's kind of serving different masters, and someone wants it to be something, and someone wants it to be something else, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, that was a mediocre one. Thankfully,
well, and sometimes it becomes.
I have the choice not to put that on a record.
Right. See,
we take the magical ones that the synergy makes it better. And then that's what y'all get to hear.
I would say that's very freeing, because it's like, we get together, we have fun, we tell stories, we write a song, we either throw it in the garbage or it might be good enough to get on the record. And as you say, that synergy, that union can also become quantum, because it's bigger than both of you, because it's together, and it can raise a great song. The Eagles is a great example of some of the songs that those guys, the main songwriters, Glenn and Don, those guys, they would get together, and one guy would have a riff and the other guy would have a couple of words, and then suddenly they'd write something. And of course, there's so many great songwriting partnerships, but to work with different songwriters, I think that's actually fun. That's actually a fun thing.
There's a magic about being in a band or having the same collaborator, like you're talking about with the Eagles, or like I was just watching a little bit of Rocket Man, the Elton John movie.
Yes.
And he and Bernie Taupin, their magic that they really, talk about an incredible partnership.
Incredible. And they've maintained that all these years. Like, what is it, 4 going on 5 decades now, and they still respect each other. They're still working together. They branched off a little for a little while, but what a partnership. I always think Bernie Taupin, like, as a lyricist, like, meeting Elton John, I'm just getting a message here, Ted, from Elton John. No, actually, from Dolly. Could we turn the volume up just a little on your mic?
Oh, mine? Oh,
yeah, if you don't mind.
Turn it down.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Is that better?
It sounds good to me.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for Bernie Taupin to chime in. Oh, yes. Okay. Everybody's happy. Good. Well, Ted, we'll talk a little bit more later, but, we just enjoyed your music so much last time. We're just going to give you open mic. We're just going to give you free reign for the next few songs.
Okay, great.
So if you don't mind, if you can play us a few songs, and then we'll come back, we'll chat a little more, and it's all yours, my friend. Thank you.
You got it. Well, thank you again for having me. And here we go. All right. So we before we got on the air, we talked a little bit about Father's Day. And since Father's Day was just yesterday, I'll do a Father's Day song. This is one, and in fact, I'm going to do all songs from my new record, Down in the Den, which comes out in about a month. And this one, I wrote about my dad. It's called Only Son.
You were the only son. You were the lucky one. Still a child when you left your home behind. And in New Amsterdam, you learned to be a man. As a new world stood before your eyes. And by the boardwalk light, she came into your sight. A picture-perfect Coney Island girl. And it wouldn't take too long to build a love so strong and find your place within this world. Time rushes by like a river will flow. The years they will come, and the years they will flow. Then comes the day when you're gone in the blink of an eye. Is there a part of you that stays behind? And the day that I was born, on that October morn, the world outside was dressed in red and gold. You worked both day and night and tried with all your might to make that little house a home. Time rushes by like a river will flow. Children will come and children will go. Then comes the day when you're gone in the blink of an eye. Am I the part of you that stays behind? Looking out over the Hudson on that fateful afternoon, thinking about all you gave to me that I wished I could give to you. But the end just came too soon. We said goodbye, I saw it in your eye, a piece of knowing that I'd be alright. Just then you took my hand, said I'd become a man, slipped away into the night. Time rushes by like a river will flow. The more that you learn, the less that you know. Then comes the day when you're gone in the blink of an eye. Is there a part of you that stays behind? Am I the part of you that stays behind? I was your only son, and I am the lucky one. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for enjoying that. You usually don't start with a heavy one like that, but
felt like the right thing to do tonight. So here's another one. It's a lighter one from the record. This one is called Hobo Nickel. Maybe a year and a half ago, I was reading a magazine that had a feature article about hobos, the great American hobo from, 1900 to World War II or so was the era, all through the Great Depression. And there's a great hobo festival in Iowa every summer, which I couldn't make it this year. But I started thinking about the hobo, and I did some research, and I started thinking about the kind of cool metaphor between the traveling hobo who wasn't a vagabond. He was working. He was trying to go from job to job to different towns to get work, different factories, different farms, depending on the season and the crops that were grown at the time. And so I started thinking about that and how it relates to me and other friends of mine who travel around making music for people. This one's called Hobo Nickel. I got a hobo nickel, I made it myself. I shined it up nice and keep it on the shelf. And one's flip in the air, tells me all I need to know. If heads I stay, tails it means this time I got to go. I got an old guitar, I like to strum. I know half of every song that's ever been sung. Gonna sit right down the corner in the old town. When I start to play, the people come a-gathering around. East or west, I never look back. Tomorrow's just a day or so down the track. Traveling light is a life for me. Never spend my last dollar, I'll just get it for free. I got a freight train on track 21, and if it moves too slow, I'll use my phone, cause I'm moving along in a way I wanna roll. If it don't come easy, then it's not the way I'm gonna go. Got a backpack, it's hanging over my shoulder. Got everything I need when the night gets colder. A coat and a hat, a compass and a cup of joe. Let's start to play. People tell me all I got to go. I said it ain't easy, but it's easy to love. Anybody can join, but it's a mighty small club. Got no destination, no place to be, but it's an open invitation. Won't you travel with me? I got a freight train, it's on track 21. If it moves too slow, I'm using my phone, cause I'm moving along in a way I wanna roll. I said it's not so fast, why not make the most of it now? It goes about so fast, why not make the most of it now? I said we're all going to the same party anyhow. Yeah. All right. I think I'll close a little bit of bass music for you. For those of you who do not know, when I play with a band, I sing and play the bass. And one of the things I started doing over the last bunch of years is playing solo bass and singing. And I got one of these songs on the new record that's entirely bass and vocals. But I think I'm going to do a kind of a more fun and kind of funky one now. which starts and ends with solo bass on this album, but it becomes this kind of Otis Redding kind of groove tune in the middle. This one is called Every Little Thing You Need. Every little thing you need, you know I got it. And every little thing you see under the sun. I know it might be crazy, but ever since you called me baby, for every little thing you need, honey, I'm the one. And every little thing you say, you know I'm listening. And every little word I hear it loud and clear. A little bit of love and kissing is all that you've been missing. For every little thing you say, tell me I'm all ears. Oh, every little thing you need. Oh, every little thing you need. Every little thing at all. I'll set it for every little thing you need. Oh, every little thing you need. All you got to do is call me up and tell me about how every little wish you wish you got to tell me. And every little hope I hope you understand. 'Cause you've been making my dreams come true. I gotta do the same thing for you. For every little thing you need, honey, I'm your man. Yeah. Come on. Said it now, every little thing you need. For every little thing you need. Every little thing at all. For every little thing you need. For every little thing you need. All you got to do is call me up and tell me about how every little wish you wish you got to tell me. And every little hope I hope you understand. 'Cause you've been making my dreams come true. Gotta do the same thing for you. For every little thing I need, honey, I'm your man. And you've been making my dreams come true. Gotta do the same thing for you. For every little thing you need, oh, I'm your man. You know I'm your man. I said I'm your man. Oh, oh. You know I'm your man. All right.
Awesome. Man, try not to move in your chair with that bass groove.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, songs about fatherhood, hobos, and every little thing you need. There's a good variety. And by the way, I didn't wish you a happy Father's Day earlier. Did you celebrate well yesterday?
I did. It
Good.
was pretty mellow, and I guess as you get older, many of these holidays get less eventful.
Right.
But it doesn't mean you can't savor them more.
Yes.
But it's not like, like when I was, like there was one year when I was in college and I was studying in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And so on my birthday, I said, I'm going to climb to the top of Mount Royal,
Mm-hmm.
which is where Montreal gets his name, which I
Right.
didn't know until I went there, So I hiked to the top of the mountain and looked over the city. And you do fun and grained things like that when you're 21.
Well,
When
you know,
get a
we,
little
we
older, sometimes you're like, okay, maybe it's like I've never felt the need to buy myself a new special sexy sports car or something like that.
yeah.
But
Well, that's good. That's a good place to be when you don't need to buy
yeah,
a special sexy, because you have music, you have family. It's all you need. It's every little thing you need, to quote your song right there. And
thank you.
so we have a special event now that you may not be privy to, but the last time you were on the show, we were talking about your Grammy win, which is just super exciting that it happened this year. And
Yeah.
now, on top of winning the Grammy, they send you, and I didn't know this till you were telling us, that they send you a certificate in the mail. So I was asking about the certificate, and you said, oh, it's in the envelope somewhere. And
Yeah.
I was like, we got to get you on Songs and Sit Downs, and we have to have an unveiling, because I've never seen a Grammy certificate. I mean, I check the mail every day. They haven't sent me one.
They
And
they don't know
so
what they're missing.
and so we actually, I don't know if you got the memo that we were asking if you could have it handy, because we'd like to unveil it on the show.
Well, I've been in touch with Dolly and JJ,
Good.
who are part of. For those of you who don't know, Dolly and JJ are really the Divine Rebel Music. They work with you. Oh, and you're the face of the show. But Dolly and JJ are friends and wonderful musicians and great people. And so we're actually better friends. Like, you and I only really met through this show. But they said, show the Grammy. So are you ready for the unveiling?
We are so excited.
All right, check this out. So I didn't know this until I was really it was relevant to me. But in this particular case, it's not the Tanya Tucker Band. If it was Tanya Tucker Band, then everyone would get a Grammy.
I see.
Like if you're the Wallflowers
Yeah.
or Maroon 5, then everyone gets one. But if you're in a situation like this, Tanya gets one, the sculpture.
Yes.
And then Shooter and Brandy got one because they were producing.
Right.
And then everyone else on the team gets something like this.
Oh, but that is very cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is. It's a special kind of gold embossed thing.
Yeah.
And then they give you your information and they say, well, I'm living, Tanya Tucker, best country album, and all that stuff.
Wow, that is awesome. And
Yeah.
you got to frame that, Ted. I think, are we the first people to see it?
Aside from the people who live in my home.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, thank you
So,
for unveiling.
I gotta frame it.
Thank you for unveiling that.
Check it out,
You're a
it's
good
still-
you're a good sport, because the last time we spoke, we were like, no, you got to unveil it. And you're like, no, but you're a good sport. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have the envelope,
Yeah.
the cardboard backing,
Yeah.
the little foam protective thing, and the Grammy thing.
Well,
This is
that's
it.
what, if you didn't get
So
it
I
for
got-
if you didn't get for Father's Day, you need it for your birthday. You need a frame for
Gonna
that.
Get this, baby. If there's one thing in my life that's been suitable for framing, it's
Yes,
this.
yes,
It's
it
this.
is awesome. Well, congratulations, and it's good. You'll
Thank
hang it
you.
up there in the den, I assume. And now your album Down in the Den, that's going to be released in about a month. You said, is it July 24th?
July 24.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. And right now we can pre-order it, but then we'll actually get it on July 24th is when it's
Yeah,
being
we
dropped.
set it up so that the single comes out this week, which is Have Some Faith in Me. And so you can go to like Amazon and iTunes and things like that, and also my website, and you can get the single right away.
Yeah.
And then you pre-order the album, so that we'll either mail you the actual album if you want the CD version of it,
Yep.
or they mail you the downloads on the July 24th.
Right. So we can get it in hard copy, so to speak, or we can get it virtually. And also we
Yes,
can see
indeed.
you on your Facebook Lives, Ted Russell KAMP Band, right? On Facebook Live, so we can see you. Is it
Actually,
every Wednesday and Sunday?
Yeah, what I started doing is doing from just tedrussellcamp.com, which is my personal page, because more people hear about it than there are really what you're supposed to do is say you should go to my artist page, not my personal page, which I do sometimes, but I've been doing it from my regular just Ted Russell Camp, facebook.com/Ted Russell Camp, but I'll do
Great.
it again on Wednesday, and I do it at noon.
Great.
I do it at noon Pacific time. Because
Wednesday and Sunday.
I tour in Europe a lot, and so if
Yeah.
I do it early enough in the day here, then the friends in Europe have a chance to see it. If I did it at dinner time or 9:00 p.m. here, then
Yeah.
it's been middle of the night over there.
Well, it's a good idea, and we see from that first video we saw, you were all over the world. Like, were you just taking footage of yourself everywhere, and then because it's so apt to the song, you're home away
Yeah.
from home, and then you're there in all these different places.
Yeah,
I
that
guess
was,
you.
that was part of the idea of the video. I said I'm just going to make a video of all just like selfie footage,
Fantastic.
and almost all of those people are actually friends of mine and people that I see every year when I go.
Oh,
and
that's
they're
great.
towns that I go back to. So they're actually seeing the video when you all just showed, I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute of it. It's a very sentimental thing because I have these friends all over in Uddevalla, Sweden, in Vlaardingen, Netherlands, and Stockholm and Paris, and it was just great to see these friends, and it was a really fun thing, kind of taking footage of myself and with my friends, kind of singing lyrics of the songs, so that I could just include them in it, and
That's
and
great.
have it be a sentimental thing, and hopefully when you see that video, you feel the same sentimental energy, which is why I wrote the song in the first place.
Yeah, it does. It feels like you're home away from home, like you're with people you love,
Yeah.
you're having a good
Yeah.
time. It's a feel-good video. And also you think, wow, they had an amazing budget. They went all over the world. and and
No, that
and I
was
guess
me and my iPhone in a rental car.
oh man, it's great. It's great what you can do now. And of course, I know you were planning to tour this summer. You had some dates, I believe, in Finland and in Holland, and I
Yeah.
guess that's all on the back burner for now.
Well, the tour is actually going to be in October,
Oh, great.
and I'm fairly torn. I have a feeling it's not going to happen. I have
Right.
a feeling I'm not going to feel good about, flying 12 hours on a flight from LA to Helsinki or somewhere. And but the way every state in the United States seems to have a different method for opening up and or playing it very conservatively in terms of how to handle quarantining. In Europe, it's kind of different from region to region and country to country. So I've been kind of staying in touch with my friends in different countries, but I have let's see, it's theoretically would be a 3-week tour, and I have maybe half of it booked. I have maybe 14 or 15 gigs booked.
Well,
And I don't know if I'm going to kind of get on the phone and book the rest, or just say, hey, let's just wait until sometime later, maybe middle of next year, or who knows.
hopefully it comes to fruition, but if not, all the better for us here, because we'll get to see more of you either this way or out in the clubs, And so Ted, we're actually going to close now with this new video. So we're going to unveil it here on this program too. So I hope we don't get into too much trouble for this.
No. I think we got the okay because
Good.
Diddy TV is hosting it.
Yes.
And they're doing the real debut on Wednesday.
Okay.
But they sent the link out, and they said that we could, send it out on our Facebook page and stuff like that. So
Great.
I think
So
it'll be okay.
we're seeing it first, and I believe your friend Emily Zuzik, she edited this.
Yeah, Emily did the editing. She's great.
Yeah.
We actually shot the video. I did 2 gigs in a row in this great small city called Uddevalla in western Sweden. And the afternoon of the second gig, this friend of mine, Abdullah, did the footage, and I brought it back here. Emily did the editing, and I'm proud of it. It's called Have Some Faith in Me.
Wow, that's great. I saw a tiny clip, but we're going to show more of it right now. So
great.
thank you so much, Ted Russell Kamp, for being with us. It's just always a joy to hear you sing, to hear you play, and to talk to you. So thank you for giving us your time today.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so the song is called Have Some Faith. It's a brand new single by Ted Russell Kamp. Thank you, Ted.
Got a box of pictures underneath my bed, full of memories and all the things we said. Some are color, and some black and white. And some come back and haunt me through the night. All I want to do is to have some faith in you. All I need to see is you to have some faith in me. Stuck in motion and lost in time. Well, each day a part of me gets left behind. Most days are good, most nights are bad. Most of all, I can't get over what we had. All I want to do is to have some faith in you. All I need to see is you to have some faith in me. Spend my days trying to forget, but I tell myself I'm feeling no regret. Ain't nothing more, ain't nothing left. Ain't nothing left of me but loneliness. All I want to do is to have some faith in you. And all I need to see you to have some faith in me. You to have some faith in me.
That is Have Some Faith with Ted Russell Kamp. Thank you so much, Ted. That was just great having him on the show as always. And you can see a lot more of Ted. He does a live stream show every Wednesday and Sunday at facebook.com/Ted Russell Kamp Band. And you can also check him out you can follow him on Instagram, and you can check out his website for all the new stuff that's going on. And as we said, Have Some Faith is a single from his new album that's coming up, Down in the Den, and that's going to be released July 24th. But you can actually pre-buy the album now and get it on the day that it downloads, or the day that it drops. And so, what a great show we've had. We're not finished yet. Just a couple of things. We have another video that we're going to show in a little while. I should mention the tip jar. Tips are appreciated, as it says on the screen, and they help support our musical guest. We share them with the musical guest, and it helps everybody who puts on the tip jar just came up for a single moment. Everybody puts the show on, and it keeps, and it fills up. Oh, that's even better. So, and look at all the names. Okay, so we want to thank everybody: Pat Quinn, Kathy Woolsey, Terry Paul Rowland, Shanna Kurlander, Nalini Lazowitz, Charles Nestle, Karen Dombros, and I couldn't read the rest because it went away fast. Names that came up, thank you so much for donating. We do really appreciate you, and we appreciate you being part of our show. A very integral, important part of our show. People who tip and people who are with us, all of you, very grateful, very glad to have you with us. Now, upcoming shows, Thursday, June 26th at 7 p.m. is the Roadhouse series. Now, this is called John Prine Lives. So the late John Prine, the Roadhouse did a great series for him about a month ago or 6 weeks ago, and they're doing another one because it was so popular. And that's definitely worth checking in at 7 p.m. So come back and check that one out. All proceeds for that go to the National Association for Mental Illness. So it's a very good cause, and do tune in. Some great musicians, artists, singers that are going to be performing on that. Then Monday, June 29th at 7 p.m., we're back here again with Songs and Sit-Downs featuring David Nathan, a very interesting chap from London who worked with Aretha Franklin, and he's written a book about Nina Simone, and such an interesting guy to talk to, so we're looking forward to that. Also, Michael McNevin. Michael is just a great singer-songwriter from Niles, California, and delighted that he's going to be joining us on the show. It's June 29th. Then Monday, July 6th at 7 p.m., we're back with another episode of Songs and Sit-Downs, and we're going to have Josefina Lopez, who, among many other things, wrote the movie Real Women Have Curves. She's also written a novel. She's a theater director and writer, and extremely interesting person. And we're having Paul Zolo back on the show. Paul Zolo, as many of us know, is a singer-songwriter in his own right, and he's interviewed Bob Dylan and Tom Petty and Paul Simon, and just recently he did an interview with Billie Eilish, and he's just such an interesting guy. So that is going to be a great show also. And then Monday, July 6th, Songs and Sit-Downs again with Gwendolyn Oliver, who's an actress who survived a brain tumor, and she's got such an interesting story to tell, and she's going to be sharing that with us. And we also have our musical artists are On Song Lily. That's also going to be a great show. Now, we're going to finish the show. We've started doing Video of the Week. We started this just a couple of weeks ago, and this week we're going to feature someone who's very close to Divine Rebel Music and is a big part of our musical community. We're all a fan of his, very much so, both as a person and a musician. Pat Nason, who was born in Baltimore. He's now based in Los Angeles, has been for a long time. His Americana singer-songwriter, shall I say, his songs and just his lyrics and his attitude and his wisdom, and it's just earned him a reputation among all of his peers as just being a witty lyricist and catchy melodies, and just a solid songwriter that can put forth comedy and true feeling. And we really always enjoy watching Pat. And when asked about his genre, he says that he is basically relaxed, fit Americana, and I think he came up with that himself, and it's actually it's very fitting. And the video, we're just going to play it in a moment, is called Gwyn Oak Amusement Park, and I think it's a song for our times. And Pat sends this message: do the best you can until you know better, which I think is very apt for what we're about to see, and for his ethos, which we appreciate very much. And then when you know better, do better. So the quote is, do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Absolutely love it. Before we play the video, I'd like to thank everyone who took part in putting this show together, everyone who was involved in it. Thank you, Dolly and JJ, Jessica, Pat Nason, who we're about to see, and our special guests, Michael Shipley and Ted Russell KAMP. And of course, all of you, our audience, we really appreciate your being here with us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much, and until then, stay safe and be kind. This is Pat Nason, Gwyn Oak Amusement Park.
In the days before Disneyland, on a floodplain in Baltimore, Gwyn Oak Amusement Park was a pretty good time. In summer, our mother would pack up a picnic. We'd all walk to the park in the summer sunshine. They had a boat lake and pony rides and games on the Midway, a Big Dipper and a Ferris wheel and bumper cars too. But ponies were $1, so I only could ride them when I had extra money from shining Dad's shoes. I sure love the fun house and the penny arcade. skee-ball and pinball and pink lemonade. They'd turn on the neon as the daylight would fade. They turn up the music all along the midway. My favorite thing was to ride on the carousel on my favorite horse, the biggest one there. He looked just like Trigger, and he was faster than lightning. And when the carousel got going, we'd ride everywhere. And I'd imagine a time when I would get older, and I could go dancing on a Saturday night at the old Dixie Ballroom, when the Uptowns or the Admirals played the hits from the radio, and they played them just right. I sure love the fun house and the penny arcade, skee-ball and pinball and pink lemonade. They'd turn on the neon as the daylight would fade, and they'd turn up the music all along the midway. And one summer I shot up, and to my great surprise, I stood 5 foot 2 inches, just about the right size, to see the sign at the entrance, the letters in red. I hadn't seen it before. It was over my head. The sign said whites only, no colors allowed. And I can't deny it, I can't say I'm proud, but I grew up a little as I looked around. For the first time I noticed a really white crowd. I went on to the Midway and dropped a few dimes on pinball and popcorn, thought back on the times. It was fun for the family, now it didn't seem right. They only let us in 'cause our family was white. July the 7th, 1963, Gwynn Oak Amusement Park made history. 400 people came there that day to protest and sit in, hold hands and pray. 300 were arrested and carried away, but the TV had pictures on instant replay. And change came to Baltimore, change came to stay. One small step for man along the midway. Then Hurricane Agnes in 73 blew the old park halfway out to the sea. And all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put poor old Gwynn Oak back together again. I sure miss the fun house, the penny arcade, skee-ball and pinball and pink lemonade. They'd turn on the neon as the daylight would fade, and they'd turn up the music all along the midway. Now how I wish that we all could dance at the Dixie to the Uptowns or the Admirals on a Saturday night.